All right, guys, welcome back to another video of Shaman J. There are people out there that are deciding between the 17 and the iPhone Air. Yeah, there are people actually contemplating this, the iPhone 17 or the iPhone Air. Now, at the recording of this video, it is September 12th. So I ordered my phone this morning at 7 o'clock a.m. I'm up between 5 and 7 anyway, so I ordered the phone, and I got the blue color right here. So this is the 17, and I have the 16e over here because this is my current regular iPhone. Even though I have all the other iPhones, I have the 16 Pro Max, the 16 Pro, I have an iPhone 13, I have all these other phones. I choose to use the 16e as my go-to iPhone right now. I have a 512 gig white 16e that I've shown you before, and it's just been my iPhone of choice simply because of the size. And let's get to that right now. Well, after price. Some people are questioning that the $999 price tag isn't worth it for the Air, and the $799 price tag is the logical and better choice. Well, this is about budget here. The specs will show you. I'll show you this. We're going to go through the specs and everything and run down. But this is about budget. Some people are automatically priced out of certain things, and then they say that the other one is not worth it. So worth is going to be once you get it in your hand and use it and see the value for yourself. So just saying that the Air isn't worth it, I'm not so much playing into that. And the $200 difference gets you more, but it also gets you less. Let's talk about it. So the iPhone 17 got a screen increase. It used to be 6.1 like the 16e. So we understand why they did that. You know, it was too close. Also, the 17 now has ProMotion technology, which is 120 hertz, and also has always on display. The 16 did not have that. Now I have the E here for a reason because, again, this is my primary device currently that I'll be moving from the E to the Air. So when you look at these side by side, you get a bigger display on the Air. Some people will say that's a plus. Some people will say it's a minus. Again, you know me, I personally like smaller screen devices. So while this comes in at 6.5, I'm okay with it because it's thin. It's a thin phone. Currently, I use the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, and that is a thin phone with an even bigger display, and it doesn't feel really big. So I'm okay with the 6.5 on a very thin phone. That said, I give the head nod to the Air on this spec rundown so far. Now, when you get down to the body, here's where the Air and that $200 price tag also kind of shows its flex a little bit. You have a titanium frame. And the 17 still has the aluminum frame. And furthermore, on the Pro models, they went back to an aluminum frame. I don't get it, but that's what they did. They had their own reasoning just because they had to make it a unibody. So going down here, another head nod for the Air. You go down here to the specs for the screen display and everything. The screen, you've got ceramic shield on the front, ceramic shield 2 on the front, and then you have ceramic shield on the back of this one as well. Yeah, you have a ceramic shield on the back. So Apple has said that this is their most durable iPhone. That's a big statement. Yeah. Another head nod for the Air. So then you get down here into the processors, and this is where the Air is just probably going to be better. How? I'll see once I start recording video with it and using it, but you have the A19 Pro chip, which is the same chip that's inside of the Pro models, minus 1 core. Let me show you. There you go. Minus 1 core. That's all. Now let's take a look right here, just real brief here. Yeah, that's the 16 Pro. So you're missing a core here, but it's the Pro chip. Again, another head nod. Now, battery life, Apple didn't officially say the battery size, but rumors are starting to get out and things are starting to come out and say that the battery size is 3150 basically on the Air. Now, Apple automatically releases this battery pack along with it. And so some people are very skeptical of that, pretty much saying, hey, this is probably going to have poor battery life instantly, and Apple knows it because they're already introducing a slim battery pack. All I'm going to say is I didn't buy the battery pack yet, although I did pre-order the Air. I didn't buy the battery pack yet because I want to use it and see if it's really going to have poor battery life. And then I'll get the battery life, or I'll just use a charger. That's what chargers are for. However, I'm not going to downplay it. Apple has never released their battery sizes publicly. You have to dig in there, tear it apart. You have to dig through the specs and system and find it. But nonetheless, apparently it has a 3150 milliamp hour battery. Now the Galaxy S25 Edge has over 3900 or above, I believe. So And that phone has great battery, and it doesn't need a battery pack. So we'll see how this goes with the iPhone Air with battery. But it does have a bigger battery in the 17, I believe. So head nod to the bigger battery. But definitely this should do fairly well. Now, here's where some people really feel some type of way. All of these phones, when I say all of them, well, let me leave this here for a second because this has the 48 meg. It's so funny they list 2-in-1 camera. they're promoting it this way. It's so funny, but they all have the 48 megapixel main camera. It's the Fusion camera. They all have this, and I say they because if you go up to the 17 Pro lineup, it's the same thing. Yeah, the Fusion 48 megapixel Fusion camera. So all these phones have it, but the sensor I believe is bigger in the Air versus the 16e. So I'll see how that comes out, but they all have 24 megapixel and 48 megapixel super high res photos that they can do. Now you have portrait mode with depth control. This says on these two new versions here, these two phones, 17 and 17 Air, the iPhone Air, next generation portraits with focus and depth control. So these both are doing very well with the cameras. Even the iPhone 16e does very well. But the difference here is that since the 17 has a wide angle lens here, it has a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera, which again, 48 megapixel ultra wide Fusion camera. It has the same as the Pro models. So it's this mixed bag that Apple has done. But I'll explain that in a little bit here. Again, stay with me. Informational video. That's all. So you do have macro. You do have the ability to do macro photography. Oh, that didn't go right. Hold on. Let's switch this back. Oops. There we go. You do have the ability to do macro photography on the 17 because it has an ultra wide lens. Yeah. So the Air doesn't have an ultra wide lens. So you can't do macro photography because the ultra wide lens is a combination that you use to do the macro photography. Right. So that's a knockdown that Apple doesn't really talk about much, and I don't think they said it at all in the keynotes because they're not going to talk about what the phones don't have. Other than that, these all get the 4K 60 video, which we know is going to be really good. Except you get the latest generation over here. Yeah. So Apple Intelligence on all of them. This is all the same. Now, some people are saying, oh my gosh, the Air is not worth it because it has USB 2.0. Okay. Same thing on all these phones here. The E has it. The 17 has it. Nothing different. Now, you do have wireless charging at 20 watts with 30 watts on the adapter or higher. So I have a 120 watt charger, so this doesn't really apply to me. Hopefully you get yourself a charger that's more than what's required, and then you'll get the fastest speeds, simply put. But the 17 should charge just as fast as the Air. Now here's where the Air gets another head nod. It comes in a terabyte version. Yeah. Remember now, it costs more, but still comes in a terabyte version. Now, one sad point about Apple, they removed the 128 gig models. They removed the 128 gig models, but they now it's cost $200 for a memory upgrade. That's just lame. Yeah, not on the E, but still from here to here, it costs $200. Yeah, and over here on all these newer 17 models, it's $200. Period. Take a look. 200. So you get that terabyte version. You go to Pro model, 200. So while they removed the 128 gig, it's $200 for a memory upgrade. And that also is going to price a lot of people out. Some people won't even bother getting the 17 and a 512 because it's $200 more. That's a lot of money. And same thing here. Yeah. Or some people, it's not that the people can't afford it. They just don't want it. They're like, I'm not paying all this money for the, no way. And also I have external MagSafe storage. There's plenty of options available. Now, some differences here with the 17 and the Air. You can see they both have the same screen technology, which is incredible. And it's really good for the 17 because it didn't have that. Let me show you the 16 last year. Look at this. It's got a nice upgrade. 3000 nits brightness now. So let's go back to 16. It's going to start changing here in a second. Now, obviously, hardware is to me better on the Air because it's the latest technology. It's the thin, blah blah blah. But let's go down here, and I noticed a few other things that it is missing. Spatial photos is not there on the Air, and I think this is. I know this has got to be simply just because it only has one camera lens. And here's the main thing that really kind of hits hard for me, and I said it about the 16E bars. No cinematic video at all on the iPhone Air. Now the iPhone Air has Pro inside. It's a Pro chip inside. Same chip that's in the Pro models, but because it has a single lens, you cannot do cinematic video, unfortunately. Yeah. There's no cinematic video. There's no spatial video. There's no macro video. None of these things are there on the Air. That's a huge bummer for me. That's a bummer because I really like portrait video, cinematic video. And you can't do it on the front camera either. Very sad. Yeah. But look at this here. Cinematic video stabilization, 4K, 1080p, 720p. But it doesn't shoot cinematic video. Yeah, I guess. But you do have Dolby Vision HDR. Obviously, you can do so. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But that's a quick little rundown. And another thing that hasn't been talked about much with these new iPhones, I think Apple talked about in their keynote. But it has Bluetooth 6 and Wi-Fi 7. Huge upgrade. And I have 7 at my house. So I'm happy about that. But the Air isn't so much, and again, that's why I say this, it's not to deter you from buying it. It's just a matter of the Air being the new kid on the block, and the Air being the one that is the new design. Apple even tells you this is the future. This is the future of where we're going. So I am personally excited about the iPhone Air. I think going forward, there's going to be more thin phones from Apple. There's going to be folding phones with this thickness from Apple. They're showing you their current direction that they're going to go. And I just believe that this is going to be a hit, regardless of the things that I pointed out, because the things that I pointed out probably not even are important. They're not even important to other people. They're important to me, though. Cinematic video is important, but I don't see a lot of people, I guess, quote unquote, regular consumers doing cinematic video. I don't. But I wanted to point this out to you guys, man. I'm super excited about it. It says it right here. So this is what the future feels like. Apple said it themselves. It's your man Jay. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.